Welcome to the Juniper podcast, where we talk about the more nuanced aspects of being a pet parent with some of the most interesting people in the pet space. Let's get into it. Okay, welcome to the Juniper podcast, everyone. We're here with Lisa Mattuchio. She's known on Instagram as Eddie on Wheels. The handle is inspired by her late beloved rescue dog. And she runs Eddie's Ranch, a nonprofit dog rescue. So we're super excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, thank you so much. Okay, so one of the reasons we wanted to have you on the show is that so many people we talk to dream of starting their own animal rescue. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
Yeah, so it's a really big process and it takes a lot more time and money than I anticipated, but you live and learn, and I'm here and I'm glad I did it. I had rescued animals my whole life, always out of my pocket, always taking in fosters, finding them homes, doing all the medical, and it wasn't going to slow down or stop. So, a lot of people, especially having an online platform, the animal community is so amazing that so many people would say, can I send you a donation? Can I send you food? And I was like, oh no, never. I'm not a nonprofit. That would be inappropriate. This is just my personal thing I love to do. But then I sat down and said, well, think of how many more animals I can save if I have the support of the community. And the only way I would be comfortable of doing that was to become a nonprofit. And when my Eddie passed, I had in my heart said, I'm going to do something big for this dog and make the world remember him forever. So it all started coming together, and I was like, you know what? Now's the time. You have this amazing platform. You have so much support. Let's become a real nonprofit. Let's name it after my Eddie, keep my promise to him, and save as many animals as possible. So I started researching it, and it was live and learn. I was recognized by the federal government as a 501(c)(3). That was wonderful. But with the state of Massachusetts, you have to file paperwork to be able to solicit donations. You have to register. You have to become a corporation and all this stuff. So it literally took me about 6 months, but every T is crossed, every I is dotted. I became official. I'm honored to be a rescue in Eddie's name. Like I said, it was a process. I had to get a kennel license with my town so I could have 10 dogs without getting in trouble. And I'm at 9, so I'm really just kind of cutting it close. I have room for one more. So, that's how it started. It just started with loving animals and wanting to help everybody, to having a platform and the opportunity to help even more. And that's where I'm at today. And I've been in business, we'll say. I've been a rescue for less than a year, but I am off and running. And I'm happy to do it. And I'm honored to do it for my Eddie. I hope Eddie's Ranch has a legacy someday, and the rescue is here long after I'm gone. And then my job is done.
Something that's so cool about rescue, I think, is the legacy aspect that you brought up. It brings up, what you're doing now. I know that the shelter that I volunteer at was started by just this woman who lived locally. Now I think over 50 or 60 years ago, she's been gone, and people just keep contributing to it. It builds out more and more as a nonprofit organization, and it can grow, but it always seems to start with just like one person who cares a lot.
Yep. So here I am, and I'm just starting to line up volunteers now, because every day I'm contacted about an animal, but I only have so much room. I'm only one person. So I'm starting to line up volunteers and foster homes so I can help as many animals as possible. And, I hope to be that someday. I hope to make this as big as I can make it. I'm starting out small, but I've only just begun, and I've had an amazing support. So I feel like I am giving this opportunity. I have to take it. I was put here for a reason. I adopted Eddie for a reason, and I feel like this is the reason. So here we go. See where I land.
It really is such an incredible legacy for Eddie to have and for everyone who rallied around him when he was with you. And now, even after he has left, to still have this impact in his name. It's so incredible. What does a typical day look like for you now as you're in this process?
Yeah, thank you. He was an amazing dog, and it was one of those situations where I was his fourth home. He was just kind of this down and out little dog, and I was like, I'll go adopt a special need dog. I've had a dog that had seizures before. It wasn't that hard. Eddie can't walk, big deal. And I think during COVID, it helped when someone was like, you should put Eddie on TikTok. I was like, hey, what's TikTok? Right. I had no idea. But, I think it helped with my Eddie that so many people resonated with him because he was grumpy in the morning, and we were all on lockdown, and we were all living by ourselves, locked in our home. And, Eddie hit the ground running, and he was an amazing dog, and he touched so many people's lives. I mean, all across the world. We're not even talking this country, all across the world. And, he just took off from there. And like I said, I mean, I feel like he just set us all up. I mean, he set me and Eddie set me up for rescue. He changed the person I am. I said, I'm going to rescue more dogs like Eddie, and look at this little dog that could, and the light, and so many lives he's changed. Every day I get messages from people that they adopted a dog on wheels because of Eddie. Or every morning around the breakfast table, the parents and the kids would log in to see what Eddie's doing and see what kind of day Eddie was going to have. And Eddie was part of their daily routine, and it's like so beautiful to hear. I had a woman reach out to me this one really touched me and really made me realize like how special Eddie was. She took care of her dad that had Alzheimer's, and, he couldn't really remember much, but every day they'd watch Eddie videos. And then one day when she was cleaning his room, she found a little piece of paper that said, you know, Eddie, Lisa, Scotty. He was trying to remember all the characters in my house so he could remember, because that was what they did every morning. And that, to me, when she wrote that to me, I cried, and I'm like, wow, like Eddie has done so much that I didn't even know, right? Like brought families together, whatever. So he was a wonderful dog and a wonderful story. And all I wanted was a little dog. And he, changed the whole trajectory of my life. You know what I mean? So it's all good things. It's a great story. I think he was perfect.
Can you tell us a little bit about the type of rescue you run, what types of dogs you take in, and how you pick who you're going to take in?
Sure. So my focus, the creation of the rescue, was to focus on senior or dogs with disabilities. So that's what I'm focusing on. I have a little crying dog in the background. That dog is not a senior and does not have a disability, but sometimes, I don't know, dogs just come my way and I say, I can help this dog. It'll be a quick turnaround. But I really wanted to focus on the animals that don't have as much of a chance. A lot of people want a young dog because they want to have a dog for 15 years. A lot of people work full time and they're intimidated by a special need dog. But once I adopted Eddie and he was special needs, for me, it's easy. And I got him a little senior friend. So once I got Holly, I said, oh, I'm only going to adopt seniors. So I created the rescue after what I love in my home and the dogs that aren't so easy to place. I have a bad feeling slowly but surely I'm just going to become a sanctuary. But right now it's a rescue, and I'm doing my best to rescue that type. So Bella, for example, is a golden doodle. She's only 5. So she's not a senior, but she has spinal injury. So she's on wheels. So she was welcome into my rescue because she needs physical therapy. She needed wheels. So she falls into the disability category. So I just felt like there was a need for it. And it's what Eddie was, and the rescue was created after Eddie. So that's the direction I went in.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I feel like those dogs have, I mean, every dog has an impact on their people, right? That's one of the best things about humans and domestic dogs living together. It's incredible. You talk to anyone who loves a dog and they have some amazing story about how that dog has made them feel more connected to the world or given them experiences that they wouldn't have had. But I do think that the special needs dogs or the dogs who, like you said, are a little bit harder to place, harder to adopt out, can have sometimes an even deeper impact because there's that knowledge as you go into it that this is an extra special relationship. It requires more care, and those moments can be so bonding in their own way. I think that's just a really lovely mission.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. There is not a bond like taking care of a dog with disability. There isn't. I mean, and I don't want to listen. I've had so many dogs in my life and I have loved everybody, obviously, right? But what I learned from Eddie, the bond with the dog that truly needs you to live, right? They need you to survive. They can't walk. They can't get to their water. They can't. That bond becomes really an amazing bond. You just bond more than the dog that runs to the back door and you let him out. It doesn't mean I don't love that dog any less, but the bond is pretty special with a dog with a disability. I mean, it just is. And it's, unless you have one and live it, you don't understand. You know, people are intimidated by taking in a dog, a special needs animal. And I 100% get it. I even get intimidated when someone new comes in the house and I get overwhelmed for about 48 hours and I say, oh my God, what did I do? How can I do this? I don't know if I can do it. But then by the third day, I was like, oh, this is so easy, you know, and it is, you just have to be up for it. But the bond is something special. And until you do it, I can't explain it. But everybody out there with the dog with a disability knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. They know. You know, it's a
How do
club.
you how do you push through that feeling of like intimidation and fear of how are you going to take care of this dog with this new that comes into your new rescue and has special needs? Does it get easier with time? Do you have anything that you could give people as tips if they're thinking about taking in a dog with special needs themselves?
Yeah, it does get easier with time, and routine is everything. So once you figure out the dog's needs, and the dog will tell you its needs, you know, like you learn, like, oh, that bark, it's amazing. They have their language. That bark means they have to go to the bathroom. That bark means they need water. So it's just like, I guess moving in with a new roommate, you figure each other out, right? I get, truthfully, the way I get through it is, the reality is I did it, right? I took the dog in. No one's here to help me, so let's figure it out. And it's never as bad as you think it is, you know? Like, so when I took in Bella came to my house with scabies, which is horrible when you have so many animals in the house. And I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? This dog doesn't walk. She has scabies. Every time I go to help her, she's urinating on my all over the house. And I'm like, okay, I was very overwhelmed. But then I took a step back and I said, you can do this, Lisa. Like, you can do it. It's a dog. Like, she needs wheels. Like, you know, and it takes a village, right? Like, you know, walking pets built me wheels. So now she's on wheels. So she's not dragging, you know, across a kitchen. I figured out when I pick her up a certain way, I was expressing her bladder. So now I'm like, oh, I can't pick her up that way. You know, she cried when she wanted to go out. So the crying wasn't like, oh, now I have this dog that doesn't walk and all she does is cry. She was trying to tell me something. So it's patience and it's time, and the dog will tell you what they need, you know, and then it just becomes a routine. It truly does. And it doesn't take a long time. You just have to pay attention to the dog's needs and you become a team. Now Bella and I, we're in a routine. You know, she's even sleeping later in the morning. She's not crying when I leave the house because now she knows I always come back. She knows I'm eventually going to get out of bed to let her out. They learn you the way you learn them. It's really routine and trust and learning each other, and it works. There is nothing to be afraid of. There are things though, if you live on the third floor, you can't get a 50-pound dog on wheels, right? So it's also finding a dog with a disability or a specially able dog that fits into your lifestyle. Maybe if you live on the third floor, but you want to help a special needs animal, you get a 5-pound dog. You get a diabetic that can walk, that you don't have to carry up the stairs. I mean, special needs, specially able, there's such a broad, definition of it. People hear it and automatically think wheels or, spinal trauma or this, but there's so many levels. Some dogs just need insulin twice a day. Some dogs might have seizures and it's 1 pill a day. So, when you see the word specially abled, you shouldn't run. You should look into it and say, hey, can I do that? Yes, I can. I can, because I can give a pill once a day. There's a big window of opportunity to help a dog, a special needs dog or a senior. You just have to investigate.
I think that last part is especially key. Whenever I think about encouraging my friends to get involved in rescue, there are so many different ways to support these pets who need homes. And sometimes that, it looks like different things for all of our households based on where we are, what we're able to handle. My own dog has seizures. She gets phenobarbital twice a day. And that was really scary at first. And I was so overwhelmed. And now at this point, it is something that I feel like we've been able to work our lives around, and we take the necessary steps when we're going on certain types of hikes or other trips. And, we have this understanding of what it requires. And that enables me to feel like in the future, I would be better able to help a different dog who had something like that because I have that experience. And I just think all of those variables of how our individual lives are different, and, we can all bring something to the table. There's something that all of us can do, and it might not look like what our neighbor is doing or what someone really cool who we follow on social media is doing, but all of those efforts matter. And there's a level of not knowing until you try. One of the reasons that I encourage so many people to foster, if they're interested in adopting a dog, because then you can sort of start to see what is it really like, boots on the ground, living with this creature, what traits work really well for your lifestyle, what traits don't. So I think that's such an important part of the discussion. And speaking of your day to day, what do things look like right now as you're in this process of trying to grow the rescue, take care of all of the dogs currently in your care? What is a day in the life of Lisa like?
It's busy. That's the best word to describe it, busy. So I work full time, which shocks people because I have so many animals, but I'm lucky enough to work from home 2 days a week. But on a full time, on a day I need to commute into work, it's up. Everybody goes out, but everybody goes out in different areas. So we have coyotes in my neighborhood. So, and usually I'm up before sunrise, which it just is what it is when you have this many animals. So it's the little dogs. No one can do stairs, and there are stairs to go out into my deck. So it's a 2x2 carry, 2, 4, 6, 8, right? Down the stairs. The small dogs go on my deck, which is completely secured in to use the restroom. The big dog on wheels, Bella, goes out the front door on a run out front because she doesn't like the backyard for some reason. Then I come in, I pick up my Stevie Edward, who can't walk at all. He's got cerebellar hypoplasia, and he goes out front that I have to stand with because you cannot leave him unsupervised at all. He comes in, he gets put in his wheels while everybody else is out. So he can roll around the kitchen and get to his water. And then I get my new foster dog. She goes out on the front run when Bella, the dog on wheels, comes in. So now then everybody comes in, and then we feed 9 dogs. Everybody gets cooked chicken every day. So I'm either cooking chicken or the night before I cook it. So I'm preparing their breakfast. They eat breakfast while I get ready for work. And then there's cats involved, but the cats are fairly easy in the morning, right? And then I usually take 3 to 4 dogs to work with me every day just to kind of get them out of the house and give them stimulation. So I load up the car, Stevie Edward, who doesn't walk, Bella, who doesn't walk, and then Scotty, who just likes to be with the mom every day, and then Josie Lynn, who is a stubborn Yorkie who will not have it staying home. So those four load in my car. I drive an hour to work. We stop at the dog park at work, and then I have to bring them all through the building up to the second floor to my office. And then they're all baby gated and they spend the day in the office. Then I work 8 hours. And then I come home and then I do the whole thing again in reverse because it's night. Except for after work, they get time in the beautiful fenced in yard because it's about 4 p.m. Coyotes aren't out, but they're always supervised, of course. So it's a lot. And in between, I Swiffer the floor. That's a free plug for Swiffer. The floor before I go to work, wet wipes. And then after dinner, I do it again. Then 3 dogs go on the couch to watch TV. And it's a lot. It's a busy, busy day. I love when I have no plans and then throw in dinner plans with a friend. And it is a fiasco, but I do my best to still try to live my life. I go for this is a true story and you have to do it for yourself, self-care. Once a month, I get a facial. I go out to dinner with friends. I go, bye gang. And I close the door behind me. Like my day to day is crazy and it's busy, and then throw social media on top of it. Right? I'm at red lights, checking my messages on Instagram and TikTok and my email, and I'm trying to find a home for Bella. I mean, sometimes I look at the clock and it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm so tired I can't even take off my makeup, and I just put everybody to bed and go into bed with 3 dogs. So 3 dogs come to bed with me and sleep in my bed. So, my day to day is dogs in every arm all the time. It's a lot. It's funny. It's funny, but it's a lot, it's not.
That is so impressive to both run this rescue and then also work a full-time job. I had no idea that you did that. I can't imagine doing all that in one day. That is superwoman level stuff.
And, running the rescue on the day to day is a lot of emails and stuff. But part of it is, listen, if I can't get you an email for 2 days, I can't get you an email for 2 days. If somebody sends me an urgent email about an animal, of course, I'm going to answer it. But some days with the rescue, and this is why I'm, working hard at looking for volunteers. I need someone to go through the emails and say, this dog needs you, this dog, this, that. But what I'll do is a quick scroll and be like, well, this is just lovely messages from followers that want to meet me or have a question, and I will answer everybody. I answer everybody because I think it's really important. This is the community that has always supported me and Eddie and is now supporting my rescue, but it might take me a few days. But when I was starting the rescue, believe me, when I was filling out all the paperwork, I was in lockdown. I was doing emails and paperwork and writing checks and making payments and opening bank accounts, like at 11 o'clock at night, because it was the only time I had. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm a busy girl. I'm a very busy girl, but I'm very passionate about it and I'm getting better at it. Right. So
what do you think it is about you that allows you to do this? Both manage as much as you're managing, but also be successful in running the dog rescue?
Well, my job is a huge benefit to me running a rescue. It allows me to, because I do work with animals. So I work at an animal hospital that welcomes dogs to work every day. My manager is amazing and she gives me the bandwidth to do it. That's hugely helpful. Listen, if I worked in a law office 40 hours a week, this wouldn't be happening. Right? I work for people who love animals and want to save them as much as I do. So they're supportive. I can go to work and say, I have a dog in a crate. I can only be in this building for 3 hours. And they say, okay, go home and work from home because you have a dog in a crate, So, and I also just have a lot of energy and, work aside, I'm so very grateful that they're so supportive, but I have a lot of energy and I'm passionate about it. And anybody that's passionate about what they want to do succeeds. right? And it could be anything like clothing designer is passionate about fashion. That's why they succeed. I'm passionate about rescuing dogs, and this rescue I named after my Eddie. So, it's, I make it happen. I make it happen. But, it's not for the lazy and it's not for the weary because there is no time. And then I have this, mother's guilt that I'm like, all right, I have to take Scotty one-on-one. Scotty and I have to go hiking, or Holly needs to go for a one-on-one stroll in the baby carriage because I don't want the rescue to get in the way of my animals, and I'm their mummy and they need me too. So it's, just wanting to take care of everybody and loving everybody. It's just makes me want to do it. I just get it done, but it's definitely not for everybody. It's definitely not. Rescue's hard.
Here at Juniper, we make content for your favorite pet brands. We're 100% women owned and operated, and you can hire us to create your articles, blogs, videos, email marketing campaigns, lead generation guides, and more. Visit us at www.juniperpet.co to learn more. Thanks for listening.
What do you think the hardest part about rescue is?
Not being able to take everybody that you reached out about, to be honest. It's heartbreaking when someone sends an email and they're like, I really need help with this dog, or this dog really needs help. Can you pull this dog from this shelter? And like, yes, I want to, but I can't say yes to everybody. I can say I can when 2 of my dogs are placed. I can when I have more foster homes, but it's hard. Like, I lose sleep. Like, I got an email just this morning about an epileptic cat that is very medically unstable and needs a lot of care. And I had to say no because I don't have a medical foster home set up. And I just took in a very special needs kitten on Tuesday that I'm trying to care for. And so I had to say no. I mean, the bottom line is I had to say no, or I had to. And it's hard. And it's hard. And everybody reaches out with good intentions. They're like, Lisa will take him. Eddie on Wheels will take him. Eddie's Ranch will take him. But like, I can't. So it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. I think anybody in rescue would tell you that. Like, going to bed at night knowing you had to say no to helping an animal and praying another rescue stepped up, it weighs on you. It's heartbreaking. But that's the worst part. I'm only, even if I'm 50 people strong, like any point, every rescue out there is full, right? There's a crisis right now. Rescues are full, and there are more disabled and senior dogs, it seems like, than ever. But maybe it's just because it's social media. So now we're all aware of them more. Listen, it makes me want to buy a bigger house with a lot of land. And I'm starting to feel like that's my next move, but I don't want to leave Eddie's house, right? Like, this was my Eddie's house. So I'm struggling, but I'm strongly considering moving so I can do more.
I was going to ask you that. What's your next move for this? Because I can only imagine that you're hearing that all the time. There's just endless animals to take in. What would your dream size be for this rescue? Would it be you with a couple of employees? Would it be, do you like the size that it is now? Would it be, as you said, just getting a larger property?
Well, I like the size it is now because I'm just starting out and I have no help right now. But I'm actively looking for volunteers, foster homes. Once I have foster homes, then, sky's the limit. When I started it, I felt as though this will be great. I'll do 1 and 2 dogs at a time. I have the, financial support of people who are kind enough to grab off my wish list or send me a donation. This is great. I'll take 1 or 2 dogs in at a time, fix them up, find them a home. It's great. But now that I'm in it, I realize the need is so much larger. So, I don't know if I'll ever have employees because I never really looked at this as starting it as a business and it being my job. I'm not saying that's not impossible. Maybe someday when I'm ready to retire, which whatever. But I would like to see myself on a larger property in a home that's more set up for seniors and dogs with disabilities, like one floor, you know? And then I would more have a sanctuary side and a rescue side. And the sanctuary side would be the dogs that are like my dogs anyways, but the 15-year-old blind deaf dogs that no one's going to adopt, stuff like that, that would just come to my home and live there because I have the space. I would like to see a bunch of volunteers, trustworthy volunteers that I could call and say, this dog's coming in from Connecticut. Can they go directly to your house and have the support of them and have enough money for my rescue to be able to support that dog financially? So, I mean, I guess anything goes. When I sat down with my business plan and I had to submit my business plan to the state, which you have to do when you create a rescue, it was more very general, taking in dogs and cats in need, providing them medical and finding them homes. I never really thought of a head count a year. I'm just fluid. I'm just going with it. Listen, if I'm able to move someday and find a bigger property and, have, I don't even want to put a number out there because it scares me, but I'm able to do that, then, I'll be bigger. Employee wise, though, I don't know. I don't even know how a rescue would run that actually paid employees when I'm so new and so young that the donations I'm taking in are covering the animal's medical care. So that's a really big picture and a big dream that I'm just not there yet. I'm not dreaming that big yet.
It's happened naturally so far. It started with Eddie and then it started with taking in more dogs. So I think naturally you'll know when the right time is for different moves for growth for this. But it's really cool to see you starting it. And this example of you working a job, but still being able to help this many animals is just incredible, because I think so many of us could do more. And we limit ourselves thinking, well, that's going to be way too scary to take in a dog or an animal with special needs. But I know Haley was talking about how her dog has seizures and she manages this with medication. I have a senior cat who, now that he's just a senior, has a heart condition, and we're doing liquid syringes multiple times a day. I had to learn how to pill him. So I think it's important for people to know too, if you just get an animal and you're lucky enough to have them for a while, they will become a senior animal, and senior animals need some help. And so I've seen a lot of what you said about routine really resonates, and a lot of what you said about getting used to it, because even last week we had to up all of his meds and take him in, and it's a new world now it's every couple hours I'm needing to go help him with something. And so I just think that's so important for people to realize too, that like the animals are a lifelong commitment for you, as long as they're there. And they're probably, if like I said, if you're lucky enough, they're going to get older and need some things too. So I think that that's also like what gets you less intimidated by this, because now that I've been doing this, I'm like, I could do this for another cat or dog if I had to. So this is like the experience that comes with having an animal for so long. And it's so inspiring to see your story, because it shows people, I think there's so many of us, and I see this all the time in comments on TikTok where people say like, if I was a millionaire, that's when I could finally help all these animals. And I think we should all sit around and think like, wait, what could we do? If you can't take them in, can you go volunteer at a shelter? If you do have a little bit of space, but you're not ready to make another lifelong commitment, can you take in a foster for a couple of weeks? And then if you can't do any of that, you have no space, you have no time, can you just make a donation? What can you do to help? I think we can all push ourselves a little bit to do a little bit more.
Yep. Agreed. And I think there is so much people can do, but they don't think outside the box because that they're like, well, I work 60 hours a week. I can't foster. Well, yeah, you probably can't, because you could foster a cat likely, but you probably can't foster a dog because you work 60 hours a week. But do you have 2 hours on a Saturday to pick up a dog and take them to laser therapy for, a rescue? Do you have, an hour to pick up medication? Not, I'm not talking about for Eddie's Ranch because I work in an animal hospital, so this isn't something I need, but maybe your local shelter needs pills for a cat picked up, just 20 minutes from your house and drive them another 20 minutes and drop them off to the rescue. I mean, there are so many opportunities to help your local rescue and shelter. Do you have extra blankets and towels in your house? Instead of bringing them to Savers or Goodwill, I bet your local rescue could use them, because then dogs and cats have new bedding to lay on. I mean, there's just so many opportunities for everybody to help shelter and rescue animals. And they're out there. You just got to look, and they're definitely out there. There are resources to help you as well.
This is so inspiring. I think if you're listening to this episode and you've been holding yourself back because of perfectionism or thinking you don't have enough money or time or emotion to give to this, just try a little something and see how it goes for you. I started volunteering at my local shelter and then spending more time, and then seeing that now that they know me, I can now take dogs for like a dog day out. I would have, if you would have told me that 2 years ago, I would have thought, oh, that's too sad. I'm going to get attached to every single one. I don't. I feel great when I leave because I know I tired them out and gave them some fun stuff to do that day. So it's not as intimidating as people think, but I think listening to your story and just hearing how you've been able to do so much, you're really maxing out what you can do. It makes me want to do more too. So this is really inspiring to listen to. And now I'm like fired up. I want to go back right now and take in more.
It's funny. It's just the way it just snowballed and happened. So, here I am, and I'm going to go with it. This is what Eddie wanted. I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I've been very blessed with help and support. And I think I'm being guided by my Eddie, and here we go. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm not a spring chicken either. I mean, I'm closer to retirement than not. And so it's a big undertaking at knowing I'm just getting older. So, but it's exciting and it's fun. And I mean, I think everybody should follow their passion, whether it's with animals or anything else. I mean, be a success story. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Yeah, that is truly so inspiring. And this whole conversation, like you said, Allison, it is really making me miss fostering. My husband and I live full time in a van right now. So we had to stop fostering when we moved into the van because, that is not the ideal foster environment. And our resident dog is uncomfortable with other dogs in her space. So all of those variables to consider. But I miss it. And it was so fulfilling when we were able to. This conversation makes me very nostalgic, very sentimental for those times. I can't thank you enough for making the time to chat with us today.
Can you tell us where people can go, donate to the rescue, follow you online, and follow up with you? We'll also have it in the show notes, but would love to get you to tell people here.
So on all my social media, it's at Eddie on Wheels on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Facebook is really all about Eddie still. It's just how I kept it, just to memorialize him. But Instagram and TikTok are all about Eddie's Ranch and all my cast of characters I have. On my main page, there is a link to donation. I take donations through PayPal, my Amazon wish list. And there's also my website, eddieonwheels.com, which has a bio on my Eddie and how my life started with him. And there's also a link there to donate. And also other things. I have a newsletter that I send out every month that it's free, of course, that keeps people in the loop, kind of like an insider information on what's happening on my day-to-day and on the ranch. That's where they can find me. All donations, of course, tax deductible because I am a 501c3. I am looking for foster homes and volunteers. They can reach out to me at eddiesranch@gmail.com, and I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, follow along in my adventures. Listen, I'm an open book. If you follow my pages, you see the day-to-day in this house, the nitty-gritty, the commutes to work, the messy kitchen after dinner, the craziness that goes on, because it is the fact that no one has barked during this recording is shocking, with the 9 dogs currently in the house. But again, seniors, everybody's taking their morning nap. But yeah, I'd love it if people could follow along or reach out. I'm happy to answer any emails. I'm happy to guide you toward adoptions or fostering or anything else. I get a lot of questions about people's own medical, their animals, and I'm happy to answer them. I do have a medical background with animals. I'm not a doctor, but I'm happy to offer the advice I can.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This was great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's all for today. To learn more and discover the best hand-picked pet products, visit Juniper at www.juniperpet.co.